and the Wisconsin Badgers host the Iowa Hawkeyes this Saturday at 6 p.m. at Camp Randall. Joining us now on the Mason Crosby Show from NBC 15 WMTV, he is Mike Jocko. Jocko, great seeing you last night, and how are you, my friend?
Oh, my gosh, I'm still trying to get over how exciting that was, how much fun it was to be at AmFam Field. It's always sweet to beat the Cubs, so that made it even better. But that place was shaking. Like, I was in the, obviously you were in the press box. I was in the press box. But when Andrew Vaughn hit that 3-run home run in the first inning to tie it up, the press box felt like it was press box at Camp Randall because it started to shake a little bit. I mean, like, the excitement of that home run and that comeback last night, man, it was a great ride home from Milwaukee to Madison. Even though I didn't get home till like 3:00, it was all of that was worth it.
Oh, Jocko. Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on. I hope you got a little rest. But, yeah, talk about that a little more because I know Murph hit on a little bit in his press conference about, that they call it, the Wrigley North, during the regular season, things like that. Did you feel the presence of Cubs fans there, or were the Brewers fans out in droves and kind of taking over and making sure that home field advantage was strong there?
I felt it was out in droves. I felt like, I've been to many a regular season game when the Cubs are in town, and it does feel unfortunately like Wrigley North. I mean, there's always a well-attended game by Cubs fans. Sometimes it feels like 50-50. Man, there was a one game that I felt like it was more Cubs fans in the building than there were Brewers fans. Disappointing, but if you want to pay, that much money and give some Brewer fans some beer money, that's fine for regular season games. But I thought the last couple of games, Saturday and then Monday, that Brewer fans, that they showed up. They showed up and they were loud. Saturday the place was bonkers, and then last night it matched that. It just, and it obviously helps when you come back, you hit 3 home runs that to score all 7 runs like that. But when Vaughn hit that home run and then Contreras, he matched that energy with hitting that dinger to left, and then Churio obviously. I was actually out in the stands when Churio hit his 3-run bomb. The place blows up, and the Cubs fans get really quiet, and it's awesome. But you're right that to talk about that and to need that, and the Brewers fans have showed up in both games, and it's been amazing.
That's awesome. Well, Jocko, yeah, I appreciate you jumping on the Mason Crosby Show, and we're going to move to Madison and talk about this Wisconsin Badgers team. And, they're facing the Iowa Hawkeyes this weekend, but, talk about what, transpired last weekend against those Michigan Wolverines. And then we'll move on to this week's game as we preview that. So just tell us what you thought about the game against Michigan, kind of where the state of this program is, and, all things Badgers football so far this season.
Yeah, I thought that the Badgers looked great. I shouldn't say great. Okay, let's reel it in a little bit. But,
Tommy just rolled his eyes.
I know. Okay, I know, and I rolled my eyes at my. It's hard to do, but I was looking in the mirror, so they look better. They looked like they actually had a purpose. Like there was intent. That to have their third string quarterback come out there and play well and drive down the field and show, I thought the running game looked great for the first time this year,
for a drive,
for a drive, right.
Thanks,
I mean, I'm talking about this
little
one
wins.
Drive, one drive. So, minor details, minor victories, for the Badgers. They came out and showed some stuff and it looked great. And, then you think, why can't you guys do that? And I know that Michigan's obviously a very talented team, both sides of the ball, special teams as well. But to come out and look like that and look like they knew they were, I keep going to having a purpose. Like they were playing, like they had a reason to do that well. They should play like that every week, right? And every play and every snap. But I just thought that things looked a little bit different. Like things are improving. You lose 14 points on the road at Michigan. Usually not a horrible thing. It's happened to many a team, but I thought that in the second half they could have played better and with more of that purpose. But I thought there were signs of life, and so that gave me hope. I go back to the beginning of the season. People are like, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I started to hate that question because several years ago, and I've told Mitch this, you would ask me, what do you think of the Badgers? And if I would have said 6-6, they'd been like, forget you, and even five wins at the beginning of the season. I'm like, oh my, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud because, it used to be, you'd say 9-3 and people would be like, what's wrong with the team this year? Is there something wrong? And so, the expectations have been so high in Madison, to say 5-5 or 5-7, pardon me, and 6-6 seems like it's disappointing to even say it out loud. But I thought this year was going to be, obviously you look at the schedule even before the year starts and it's atrocious to play Ohio State, to play at Michigan, to go to Oregon and play there. And you just knew that this was not going to be easy for any team really to play that schedule. But I thought if the Badgers made improvements, if they look good, if they beat the teams they are supposed to beat, that you're going the right direction. Well, all that went out the window when they lost to Maryland at home.
Yeah.
They lost ugly. So, I kept going back, well, Gibbs is, I like Luke Fickell a lot. So I want him to do well. So I thought, here's your chance. And then to lose to Maryland, I still think he's the coach and he's in the right place. And they are, this showed me that they're getting better. Unfortunately, that loss to Maryland was like, God, why you didn't have to do that? You're ruining my argument for you. But I still think that, the Badgers, transitioning to Saturday, they're going in the right direction, and Saturday is huge for this program.
Yeah, so I just was looking online, and Fickell talked about this matchup against Iowa, and he says there's no doubt that what happened last year is something that's fresh on the minds of everybody on this team. Fickell said about righting the ship after last year's showing against Iowa, so he's fired up for this opportunity. What do you think that's the right mindset, or how do you think they should approach this game coming up this weekend?
They should cry. They should cry beforehand.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Mason. It just last year I remember going to that game. It was a night game. It was on NBC, and ready to show the world that this is a program. They had won a whole bunch of games in a row, and unfortunately they lost the last 5, and this was near the start of that, and yeah, they got run over by Iowa. I mean, usually you're used to a 7-3 game, or 12-9 would be great because the more field goals the better, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of field goals. So
me too.
Those are the games that Wisconsin fans were used to. With Iowa, and I think a lot of teams are used to those kind of games with Iowa. They're just going to be a low scoring affair, but they got boat raced by Iowa at Iowa, and I know it left a lot of the whole end of the last year left bad taste in mouths of many here in Madison, especially within the program. So I like the approach that, hey, I guess anything to work, if your approach is we need to get some revenge from last year, so be it. Let go out there and play like you're pissed off a little bit. So why not take this opportunity to be mad, to try to get revenge against Iowa? It's homecoming here in Madison. It's always crazy in Madison. No matter, I don't care if you're talking about football, basketball, politics. There's always something going on that's crazy. So for this to be homecoming week, to have it be a little bit extra special, it's always different when Iowa comes to Madison and when Madison goes to Iowa City. But to have them come in here, I feel like it's the right time for something good to happen for the Badgers.
Jocko, NBC 15 in Madison, joining us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Any quarterback insight for us, Jocko? We've seen we've now seen 3 starting quarterbacks for this Badgers team.
Right.
Is anything anytime you've started 3 quarterbacks this early in a season, that usually is bad. Yeah, that's not good.
The talk of all last week there was no doubt in anybody's mind that Danny O'Neal was going to be the quarterback. and you keep thinking, well, when's Billy Edwards coming back? So nobody expected third string. Who knows? Maybe the fourth string gets announced this week to kind of change things up. But I just think that it'd be nice to see Edwards come back, Billy Edwards Jr. come back, and to lead this team. They've kind of been keeping it close to the vest. They're going to talk to the media. And last week, Danny O'Neill showed up at our press availability, and so everybody just assumed that he was the starting quarterback. And that Hunter Simon said that it kind of changed the whole dynamic of who's going to be running out there this week. It seems like from the talk is that Billy Edwards continues to improve, but maybe just not well enough to get out there and play a full game. Back to Luke Fickell, every year he's been here, and I guess I am making excuses for him, but his starting guy has been so much better than the rest of the guys, and he's got hurt every year. So I give Luke Fickell that, that excuse.
That is tough. Injuries.
So,
injuries are an issue.
Right. So it's not like he's going out there throwing his best guys out there and you're losing like that. But I keep hoping that Danny O'Neill gets his chance. I thought the Badgers looked decent. I don't want to get anybody mad back there in the booth that they didn't look great, but for a while they did. That's what gave me so much excitement in that first drive. I'm like, who are these dudes? I think back to the movie Major League and be like, who are these guys? There's a word in between there, but it was it was great to see, and I hope that with whoever's at quarterback that there's more improvements and they can pull off a homecoming win in Madison.
All right, Jocko, since you refuse to get angry about the Badgers,
I know. I will. So positive, Jocko.
I want to comment. We talked about this 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I know yourself, also an AP writer. What's going on with the AP poll right now? Everyone seems to hate you guys. I wanted to at least get you to have a comment on maybe some of Haley Sawyer's comments from a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you've spoken publicly about it, but to basically say the AP poll does not matter 2 or 3 weeks ago, like comments on that, Jocko, because I'm sure you have words.
Yeah. And I think she also said that it all evens out somewhere, so it doesn't. Yeah, I think she said it all evens out. Like whoever I vote for, it doesn't really matter. It all evens out. And I guess she was right because I think I left Florida State out early on, which was maybe one of the I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, you guys, probably in the top 3 because and I'm kidding, of course, because Florida State fans were so I got some hate mail. I got some, Twitter was blowing up. I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna be like Kirk Herbstreit because Kirk got them mad a couple of years ago and left them off of the college football playoffs, and they just hate him. And I think somebody said, let's treat Jocko like Kirk Herbstreit. I'm like, no, this guy, come on, but when they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be a voter, I'm like, oh, this is great. It's something to put on, this is something I can brag about at parties and stuff like that. And I'm an AP voter, top 25, baby. I made cards. No, I didn't make cards, but just there is a lot of hate for if you don't vote for teams, and I think it's obviously she's wrong. It still does matter. Obviously, from all the Florida State fans getting mad, and then I get an email from some Utah guy that I guess he's a Utah guy. Hates BYU, and I was also getting, emails from people that are, they kept wanting me to vote, Florida against Florida, and then if I go to their Twitter handle, it's like, oh, you're a Florida State guy. So this team is horrible. Alabama, of course, everybody hates Alabama, and they lose their first game, but now they come back and they're looking pretty decent. But you can't vote for Alabama just because. They've been around for so long and been in the top 10. You're only voting for Alabama because they're always in the top 10. So I've grown to take pride, from week 1, I took pride in voting for this thing and making sure that I do my due diligence and make sure I do my homework. Florida State, they kind of get me a little bit riled up, but I don't want to hold it against their team. It's just, it's random people. This is the first time I've ever noticed there's random mean people on the internet. I've never noticed that before. How does that happen? But but it's been great to vote. I do think that, I think she was trying to say something different as far as it evening out, but she didn't really say her words correctly.
Well, Jocko,
it does even out because there's 61 people on there, but it has been very cool.
I'm looking out for you because I don't want people to just
Thank
think
you.
I just don't want people to think
we don't want any haters out there.
Right. So next thing you know, someone's just going to say,
everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
So I just, I'm just making sure that you're all good because we've had a good time together, and the AP under some heat right now, Jocko, and I think
it's only under heat when people don't get voted where they think they should be voted. Nobody's complaining. Iowa State, I'm sure, is happy to keep their number one spot, although Miami and Oregon have played well. So we'll see what,
Right.
I don't expect them to be to lose to Brett Bielema and the boys on Saturday, but they've got some big games coming up too. So Miami, I was, maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, but I will. But I was happy that Miami beat Florida State just from some of the flack.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so and next thing you know, like after Haley speaks, everyone's just saying
what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
So I just don't want that to happen to Jocko. That's all I'm looking out for.
I feel like I'm at a work meeting where, that sounds like my boss is in the room. Like it's just. Or at least at home. That's my wife recorded that for me.
That's awesome. Jocko, I got one quick thing I want to hit you with before we wrap this thing up. And again, really appreciate you jumping on. But we had a question on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. And if anyone wants to jump on that, it is 414-677-1250. And I just wanted to read this one to you. Do you think the football program ever gets to the point that the students, fans actually leave before jump around to make a statement instead of after? Have heard of this from student relatives that are going to the college at UW. And this is from someone. They said, tell Jocko this comment is from Merrill, his old stomping ground. So someone from Merrill.
Awesome. Hello to people in Merrill. Love the Blue Jays.
Nice.
Loved working in Wausau and that market. It was awesome.
Heck yeah.
I think that most of the time, and I think here I'll go off on a different tangent, but they need to figure out a different way of getting the students inside because everybody blames the students for being late. The students are there; they have to wait in this long line, and they have to go single file into the building. Which I know, Badger fans have always been crazy. The student section has always been known to be crazy, but they're doing them single file for each row, one by one, and it takes them forever to get inside the building. So the students are getting there on time. It's just a matter of getting them inside the building. I know people have done stories on it before. They need to figure something out because I don't blame the students. I also enjoy that they're drinking at the dorms beforehand, and I've been there, done that. But I just think that I've heard that rumor before about the students should leave before jump around. But I mean that's been for the for the Maryland game, that was the best part of the whole game was doing the jump around.
That's
so
what you
why would you
right?
want to leave before that? There was a mass exodus of people leaving after the jump around. I don't think that Luke Fickell will care. I don't think that anybody in the administration, Mac, won't care that that the students leave before that. It'll look bad, but I just think if you're coming to a game, part of the excitement of being there is hearing the band, hearing the jump around, and hopefully, with improvement, will be a better product on the field.
Yeah, I love that, Jocko, because I agree. And I implore everyone every time they go to Lambeau Field, get there, get loud, be a difference maker. The performance on the field is what matters. So right. You leaving or not leaving, if they don't win, the chips are going to fall how they may. People will get fired, right. Things will change if they don't perform. Go support the team, support the people playing on the field. Don't worry about all the politics of who's going to be the coach and all those things. Be there, support. That's the fans' job and their duty. And then the rest will happen. If they don't win games, Fickell won't be there. So right. You leaving or staying is not going to change that narrative. Winning and losing is what changes that.
Yeah, cheer on the kids that are busting their butts. Cheer on the band that they're busting their butts. Do everything you can, to help. And I know that we're arguing about, we pay good money. We can chant fire fickle. We can boo against our own team. To me, it doesn't make sense because, it's guys 18 to 22 that are nobody's trying to lose. Nobody's trying to make their team look bad. Nobody's trying to make their state look bad, the college look bad. Extra encouragement would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you, Jocko, and look forward to having you on again sometime. And I hope these Badgers can take it to Iowa there and homecoming in Madison.
That would be awesome. I'd love to be on anytime, and it's always an honor to talk to you and the rest of the gang. And the softball game at Beloit was amazing. Top 10 moment of my life. It was.
Well, man, I appreciate you. Yes.
It was awesome.
Thank you for being there. And I can't wait for next year.
I was going to say, hopefully the first of many. Yes.
Yeah. Count me in.
All right.
All right.
Mike, Jocko, Jacques, sports director, NBC 15 WMTV in Madison, joining us. And man about town. Always great to catch up with Jocko. We will come back with Mason's Extra Points to wrap things up here on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers.